Um, Hello, how you guys doing? My name is Amanda, as in who's that? A man, duh. And I'm here to hopefully make it as your future wingman, duh. I got a bachelor's degree in the fine arts and a master's in the art of pickup. And I'm here to turn you fine ASS Sims into forever freaking pimps. Let's go. With us today we have Fola, who's going to explain his story about the red and black pill and like just falling into that sort of content. So thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. So my first question for you is, how did you fall into watching red and black pill content?
Yeah, so I would say that it occurred like when I was kind of in my early college years, like post high school. Um, and I was kind of fell into this. I was kind of in a place in my life where like I said, I didn't really have like an identity for myself,
Mm.
and I was had a lot of insecurities, and was quite just generally like pretty lonely guy, you know. Even though I was on like a sports team and I was competing, but I still felt like this like missing identity of who I was, and I was doing a lot of stuff to fit in, and I couldn't just really figure a lot of these things out. I mean, at first I started out with like more like pickup content, and then I moved more into like red pill, black pill, and I guess that transition occurred because um I don't know. I guess even with the pickup content I was consuming, I didn't really like see a lot of like, changes in my dating life. So I started to move more towards like red pill, black pill content, and that just going deeper down this rabbit hole.
Right, right. And you would describe yourself as like the more introverted type too, correct?
100%, yeah. Definitely more introverted for sure.
Um, so like what made you want to stop watching like the red and black pill content? Like what made you sort of, think differently about it?
Yeah, so when I didn't actually stop watching. It's it's funny because so like throughout college it was kind of like moderate, and then after college it got like more extreme in a sense. And I started to move more towards like black pill content, and and this is a point in my life where, like I said, even my insecurities were still there, but now I start to actually like really like implement a lot of stuff, like looks maxing and trying to level up financially and things like that. And I was actually seeing results, like I was, at least from like a physical standpoint, like I I remember like going to the gym like 5 days a week, like almost like religiously. Like it was, I had this whole thing, this whole routine, and I was really like, so okay, if I just become, jacked, good looking, and make a lot of money, then I can get girls. So that was my entire mentality, and that's all I was focused on. And then I think what kind of allowed me was the first like kind of wake up call. It wasn't like this immediate like, okay, done with black pill. It wasn't like cold cut thing, but kind of the thing that kind of started to like change the way I thought was like the entire time I still felt like this whole in like this all these insecurities were still there. Like they didn't like leave. I kind of, I don't know, somehow in my mind thought, okay, I'll also not be insecure anymore after I do all these things, like get super jacked and fit and stuff like that. So but I still felt like not confident, just like very insecure and still very like kind of feel like a loser on the inside. So then I started to look up content kind of around like self-esteem,
Right.
what it means to have like high self-esteem. And I started to kind of look more into this stuff. And along that way, I somehow ended up more like on spiritual content. And that's kind of how I like made this transition away from black pill. I started to realize like the black pill is just like completely like wrong, wrong in the sense of it's not like everything that you do on the outside, it's never going to like fix you on the inside. And
Right.
this, I had this, you can say I had like a spiritual awakening, but I basically realized like everything's from the inside out, like as within, so without, your internal world actually determines your outside world. And I was trying to do on the opposite. And that doesn't mean that like these days I don't go to the gym or I don't like get, clean up nice or whatever. Like, but now it's my motivation behind it is like completely different. Like there's a new me. Like I do it for myself now. Like I like to look good for myself. I like to go to the gym, feel nice, have a, healthy mind, things like that. That's why I do it. Before it was like strictly for external validation, like just doing it to like get girls for validation, etc. So
Right.
that's kind of what occurred. Yeah.
Right. Um, so do you find now that women value authenticity more? And like what does that word authenticity mean for you in terms of dating and just like everything?
Right. So yeah, along with my journey, I realized that like to be authentic means to be in alignment with like your true like authentic self, right? And if you even look up the definition of authenticity, it just means genuine, like non-fabricated. Like it's true to its original like core, so and before I was living completely opposite of that. I was living like a mask. I was fake. I had all these things on the outside, but I wasn't myself, and so I was trying to be someone that I'm not. Trying to be an alpha male. And as a matter of fact, the irony is that the most being authentic, that's being alpha. That is being an alpha male. Like when you're genuine, like for example, if you say you're at a venue, see like a nice girl you want to talk to, and you just go up and you say hello and you introduce yourself in a very just normal, genuine way. That's
Yeah.
alpha. It's not like, and none of that had anything to do with me having money, or you can just do that if you want. But a lot of guys, or even myself in the past, thought like, I need to have the money in order to have the confidence to then say hi to this girl. It's like, had it completely backwards. So,
Yeah.
um, I kind of lost my, I guess, so yeah, authenticity, it just means being genuine. And in order to do that, you need to be in alignment with your true self. I guess is the best way I can answer that. Yeah.
Right. Right. No, I like that a lot. Um, in your most like recent insights, just going through this like journey and whatnot, what have you discovered about the masculine or the feminine, if you will?
Yeah. So this masculine feminine dynamic, I kind of just boil it down to like this like analogy of like the masculine is like the rock, the feminine is like the ocean. The ocean is free flowing. It's like very it it takes the form of whatever container you put it in. So it's like very much dependent on the environment. Whereas a rock is like solid. It's like immovable, is grounded. It's very much like, this something you can always come to the rock, it'll be the same. It won't change. But the ocean is typically usually just changing. So when it comes to like male female, it's like what it has to do is like when you're speaking of authenticity as a man, when you're authentic to your masculine kind of like core more so, and that doesn't mean I don't have like certain feminine elements, but like me as a guy, I'm obviously gonna have like a masculine like core. And so when you're true to that, this polarity between the masculine and feminine, there's this like, attraction there. So when you're not true to your authentic masculine core, you'll tend to like exhibit more like feminine attributes, and that's kind of what makes you unattractive to like a woman. So, for example, if you're like at a bar or something, what I notice like a lot of guys do, and even myself, they'd see it like a girl they like, but then they just like kind of hover around her, like they don't like just
Yeah.
go up to her and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Like
Right.
that's masculine. When you go up, you see what you like, and it's direct. It's uh it's decisive. You know, it leads. It takes initiative. That's like masculine traits, but feminine is traits is like, kind of passive, just kind of waits. And that's what you're doing when you kind of like go to a girl and you just like stand. I've done this before. I have like a funny story about this, but like I've done this before. It was like a girl in the bar, and she had like short hair or whatever. She's very pretty, and I was just like standing there. I
Mm.
didn't, I didn't say anything, and she's there with her friend. And like after like 5 minutes,
Mm.
I overheard her say to her friend, "Man, this guy's like creeping me out." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And then I kind of like I like left that venue, and then like I was outside. I realized like what the heck, like I literally stood there for 5 minutes and didn't open my mouth. As a
Yeah.
girl, you can kind of like imagine how like kind of creepy that is, even though, yeah. So, but it was just stuff like that, and also in a more like warm environment, like friends. If there's a girl in your maybe social circle that you like, and you're kind of get friend zone, you just essentially friend zone yourself. You didn't make your intentions known. You tried to be a friend. Like that's not being authentic. That's being kind of a faker.
Right.
So things like that, like, and those are all like feminine kind of
Right.
qualities, which kind of makes you unattracted to it. It makes her feel like you can't like. It's just not attractive. Like the why is like it's you're feminine. She's also like a woman, so she feels like what the heck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I would best describe this kind of like dynamic between the two. So
Right. Right. No, I agree. I feel like if you're like afraid to be yourself and you're not like just unapologetically yourself, it kind of makes the woman feel like instability within you if you're just like afraid to just really be who you are.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
and something to add is like one thing I thought about is like men and women are like opposite in the sense of like in order for a woman to be like aroused by you, she has to first feel like secure, like comfortable with you. Whereas a
Right.
guy is like the opposite. Like when you get aroused, you then kind of feel relaxed. For a woman, it's like when she's like relaxed and comfortable around you, then she can
Yeah.
feels comfortable to be aroused. So it's like opposite in a sense. Like you have to make her, as you said, like just to feel like stability, like secure with you. Like you're
Right.
not that instability in you is like being undecisive, like, oh, I don't know what I want, not
Right.
being like authentic in who you are,
Yeah.
makes her feel like not comfortable with you and therefore not attracted to you.
Right. 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 Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense actually. Um, So are there these so in my comment section I tend to get a lot of questions about or comments about chads, if you will. So are there these chads that everyone talks about when you go out? Like
Yeah, like sure they exist on the internet, but me personally, when I go out, like I don't see many chats. Like
yeah,
even maybe I'll see a guy who's tall or a guy who's like maybe somewhat, but most guys are like this. Chats don't exist like in the real world. Like, if you go to like a venue where it's like the age demographics, like anywhere from like 18 to like 28, 29, like very rarely, I really don't see any to be honest. And this is after going out for like multiple weekends, like at different venues, like night clubs, bars, or people come to socialize. Like I don't see any of them
right.
unless they like I just like imagine some guy coming out of the alley with like a chiseled jawline, six like they don't exist.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
and even so it's like yeah, it's like but they exist on the internet and most guys spend most of their time on the internet. So like they think, oh, like yeah, chads are like everywhere. It's like no, like they're not.
Right.
But also on top of that, it's like Yeah, just even the other nights when I went out, it's like I see more of like a lot of like attractive girls. Like I guess you could say Stacy's. Like
Yeah.
I see more of those than I see
Right.
like really attractive guys. Like
Yeah.
I see like more like attractive girls than I see attractive guys. So
Yeah.
it's like even I saw like a guy, most of the time I see a guy who's like average looking, but with like a very attractive girl. I've seen that on multiple occasions.
Right.
I'm just like, rarely do I see it like just some guy who just looks like some male model. Like I just don't see it. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I
So,
guess
like, no Brad Pitt's just like intercepting your conversation and just
no, like yeah, like you're talking to a girl and some, you
yeah,
know,
Brad
yeah,
Pitt
like Brad
falls
Pitt
out of
just
the sky and like
yeah,
it's just
it's like
gone.
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Um, so what tips do you have for somebody that's like watching this channel that's sort of wanting to overcome their insecurities?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. It's like the best and most like efficient way is authenticity because when you're being authentic, you're not being you'll kind of naturally not all the your insecurities will more or less like fall away. Like you'll be less concerned about all these things you're previously concerned about, like your financial, your social economic standing, because you realize really we're all connected in a sense. Like we're all like come from the same source, if you will, and we're all just one energy, one consciousness. So there's no like separate, and this is more like a foundational kind of spiritual kind of concept, but like basically we're all one, and so when you're being authentic, you're just expressing yourself as a part of this source. So like no one is separate from you, you're not in competition anymore. So and also like all your insecurities, like your height, your socioeconomic standing, your all this and that, when you're being authentic to who you are, that's like that's worth like any millions of dollars that you, any amount of money that you can comprehend in your mind. Like it's worth more than that. And it's like that's that's what makes you an attractive person,
Right.
right? Because people who are just you can just find people, you just think of people maybe in your life or on TV. They're just authentic and they just have this like you just feel attracted to them for some reason. Like you just want to speak to them, you just want to be around them. And that is charisma. Like
Yeah.
the expression of authenticity is charisma. That's you being yourself. Like when you're with your family, you're with a close friend, you're being charismatic like naturally because
Yeah.
you're not trying to get anything from this person. But like then all of a sudden, I put you in like a social situation where you feel like, oh, now these people are here, I'm here. So
Yeah.
then all your jokes that you previously would say with family or something is like, oh no, I can't say that. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like you disown yourself and or you're on a pretty girl and you say you like her, but you're not authentic, like, oh, I like this girl in like a sexual way. And then you're not being authentic. And so you try to hide that and be like, I
Right.
mean, it doesn't mean like you'll go up to her and like just like start groping her. It just means
Yeah. Yeah.
you're comfortable and you accept yourself authentically and you tell her that, hey, I like well, it's just in a suave way, but basically, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
energetically, you're authentic with your desires and intentions. So
Right.
yeah, so basically my long answer is like when you're being authentic, you no longer kind of have insecurities, and you'll just be expressing your true self. And to me, that's what game is. It's just self-expression,
Yeah.
expressing yourself in its pure form, So yeah.
Right. And I think also people get the misconception too. And if you want to add anything onto this about like being sometimes when you're being too nice, that's like not authentic if you're not setting like boundaries that you would have like done prior if you were like being true to yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like when you're being nice. And I guess this is kind of like the blue pill kind of interpretation or society. They say, oh, just be yourself. What they mean is like be nice. Well, that's also not being authentic. Like if someone violates your boundaries
Right.
and you allow that, you're still like you just kind of let them do that, then you're not being authentic. You're not setting, not being true to who you are. And so yeah, I would say along those lines. And I think also something I wanted to mention is like basically all this, all your insecurities typically come from like your ego. Like your ego is just trying to protect you. So, for example, like if you see like a girl that you like, your ego is gonna come up with all these like different things, and they can manifest themselves in like red pill theory, black pill theory. Like, for example, you see a pretty girl, oh, she's probably talking to like 50 guys, or I hear a lot of guys say that they'll see a girl who's like attractive and they like, but they'll say, oh no, she's probably a whore, or she's probably slept with a bunch of guys. Like
Yeah,
you're just saying that. Like
yeah,
in reality, if you would go for this girl, like so
yeah,
stop the cap, as they say. But
yeah.
it's like, but that's just the ego. It's like trying to protect them from getting hurt. But when you're true, authentic to yourself, you would not like entertain those things. You just
Mhm.
express yourself and say hello. And then obviously, if that person violates your boundaries, then yeah, you would like not accept it. But to say, oh, like this and that about someone, that's just your ego, like trying to protect you. So just something to be aware of, I suppose.
Right. So also I kind of wanted to ask because this is something that I sort of get in my comments a lot about is like rejection and things like that. Do you
Mhm.
have any advice about like how to not take rejection personally kind of a thing?
Yeah, so I would say that you're when you're being authentic, right?
Mhm.
It's also coming from a place of abundance because you realize like myself is good enough. Like, and the relationship I have with myself is all I need.
Right.
Now, I see this person, I like them. I would like them to be I like to share my abundance with them, but I don't, that's it. It's not like I need this person to validate me or something. Again, this fear of rejection is coming from the ego, which is like more like a lack, limited thinking. It's like this girl's gonna complete me. Oh, I validation. Like if I get her, then what would that mean to my identity? Like all these kind of stories coming from like a lack based
Right.
way of thinking. But when you're coming from this whole being whole and genuine, it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you just go up with her and say, you just express yourself, and then you don't really care like about the outcome. And the irony is that you will come off as more attractive, so you're like less likely to get rejected in a sense, like,
Right.
or at least it will be more of a pleasant interaction because you're just like sharing love.
Right.
So that's what I would say about that, fear of rejection. It's like an ego thing.
Awesome. Um, so how do you suggest men go out and meet women?
Yeah, so I'd say like guys should be first. I would say guys should first like ask themselves what they want. Like,
Mhm.
what do I want? Like, do I just want like casual relationships? Do I want like a girlfriend, like long-term girlfriend? First, they should ask themselves, okay, what do I want? And
Right.
then that will kind of ideas already started to spring forth. And because when you're acting from a place of like genuine desire, then you'll be led into certain areas. Like you might not go to clubs and bars. Not that it's bad, but if it's not like kind of in line with you, because again, it's about being genuine. But if you're just, looking to casually date and things like that, or just, hookups and stuff like that, I would say like, yeah, bars, clubs, good place. Also, I would say like you can just start now to like already I'm sure in your immediate circle there's already like opportunities that you see, right?
Right.
Um say someone walking down the street or maybe someone in your school or something that you always see but you never introduce yourself. You
Right.
know, you can already start to like start with like people immediately around you just before you, because you're so closed off,
Right.
you can just say hello. It can even be platonic. It doesn't have to be like,
Yeah.
even guys, girls too. Like it doesn't have to be all the time, like a kind of like a direct thing, but
Yeah.
you can just look for opportunities that are like already there. Like a lot of times they're like there. It's just your awareness is somewhere else. Like you're focused on maybe black pill content on the internet. So maybe
Right.
another tip is like be aware of like the type of content you're consuming, because that can have an effect on your dating life. Like switch over more to like something else that's just more like I don't know, uplifting in a sense, like channels like yours, or you know, things of that nature. There's not like putting negativity into your mind. So because again, these opportunities you won't even see because they're outside of your awareness. Like you'll a girl a little past you and you won't even see it. So
Right.
um yeah, that's what I guess the kind of tips or kind of suggestions I give.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you want to shout out your Discord too? Just
Uh I actually don't remember the name, like the exact name. Hold on. Like the user. I guess I can like send it to you. You can put it
oh,
in the
oh yeah. Okay,
description.
I'll
Yeah.
just link it below too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today. That was totally awesome. Thank
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll link his Discord below, guys. So thank you for taking the time. Alrighty. Okay. So